Undercover footage of Roger Stone was just released, in which he details the Republicans' plan to win the 2024 election using lawyers, judges, and new technology, or as Roger Stone puts it, stop the election from being stolen. Last week, documentary filmmaker and journalist Lauren Windsor released undercover audio recordings of Justice Alito and his wife Martha Ann Alito, which revealed just how right-wing they are. And she's back this week with a new undercover audio recording of Roger Stone talking about how they plan to win the 2024 election. Lauren Windsor asks, what can we do to stop the Democrats from stealing it? And Roger Stone talks about the lawyers, judges, technology, maybe even governors that will help the Republicans in the upcoming election. Here's the first part of the recording. It's incredibly helpful to read the captions at the bottom.
Do you mind taking a photo with me, Mr. Stone?
Sure.
You're in a position to know more than anybody else. How are you feeling about the election?
Too early to say.
You can't win again.
No, but it can be stolen again.
We're in a whole... But there's got to be something we can do to prevent that.
We're working on this, but I'm not saying that I'm totally confident yet, because I'm not. By the way, in 2020, only 65% of evangelical Christians bothered to vote. So when you tell people, oh, we're doing great, then this happens. I don't have to worry about voting. That's our biggest... Overconfidence is one of our giant problems right now among our own people.
But so, what are we going to do to stop it, though? Thank you.
I'll tell you the same thing I told her. We're working on it.
Well,
lawyers, judges, technology.
Governors?
Some, but there aren't many with any guns.
We got to use every lever we can.
We are doing that. All right.
You're doing the Lord's work.
Thank you.
There's more to the recording that I'll play in a second, but when Roger Stone says that some governors don't have the guts, he means they don't have the guts to subvert the will of the American people and overturn the results of an election in their state. When Roger Stone says that they're working on lawyers, technology, and judges to make sure that the 2024 election isn't stolen, what he actually means is that Republicans are laying the groundwork, both publicly and privately, to claim the 2024 election was rigged and then try to steal it from the rightful winners. So publicly, we've already seen Donald Trump and all of his minions claim this will be the most rigged election in American history, even though the election is still months out. They did the same thing with the 2016 election. They did the same thing with the 2020 election, claiming that it was rigged before the election even happened. And privately, we just learned from Roger Stone that they are trying to persuade judges, lawyers, even certain governors to be on their side, to take their side, even if there's zero evidence of election fraud, just like there was zero evidence in 2020. I'm not sure what this new technology that Roger Stone is referring to is. I'm guessing they're going to claim that they're fixing Dominion voting machines, but in the process, they're going to introduce some new type of technology that actually gives them the edge, even though there was zero proof that Dominion voting machines had anything wrong with them in 2020. So here is the second part of the Roger Stone undercover recording, and the footage is genuinely inaudible, so I'm just going to read the transcript as it happens on screen. You can look at the captions at the bottom of the screen as I read them. So it says, earlier that night, Allie says, "Hi Roger, I'm such a big fan of yours." Roger says, "Thank you." Allie says, "I genuinely think you're an American hero. I wanted to ask you, it's such an important election year and I wanted to get your take on this. What are we going to do this election, because Democrats stole it last time," is what she's saying. Roger Stone says, "Yes, but between now and then, we're gonna work very hard and very smart to try to make sure that doesn't happen. So far, given the incredible power they have and they will use ruthlessly, we're beating them as of today. So in the end," and Allie says, "How are we beating them?" Because at this point, Roger Stone says, "The president's trial in Georgia is falling apart. I think the judge is on the verge of dismissing the charges against him in Florida. They're delayed in New York City, and now they're delayed in Washington. So it's not clear that they can have a trial before the election, which is the absolute key to being able to convince people that the reason we lost was because of the trial. Right now, if they steal it, people will say, well, that's not possible. Trump was leading in all the polls." So Roger Stone just laid out his idea of the competing narratives that will happen after the election, and he's not totally wrong. He says that if Trump has a trial, which he did, and he gets convicted, then loses, then Democrats can easily blame the loss on his conviction. But if there are no trials at all and Trump loses, then Republicans can say that the election was stolen. So Roger Stone is using his warped political mind to see what the narratives are going to be. Roger Stone then says they want to try him, suck up his money, suck up his time, and create the reason why their theft is plausible, believable. You see? Allie says, what stops them from just like voter fraud, like ballot harvesting? Roger Stone says, in some states it'll be easier to stop, in other places it won't. But at least this time, when they do it, you have a lawyer and a judge. His home phone number standing by so you can stop it. We made no preparations last time, none. There's Roger Stone once again saying that they are making preparations for the 2024 election. Quite ominous. Allie says, well, I was at the Capitol on January 6th, so I'm prepared to go back. Roger Stone says, well, that may not be necessary. There are technical, legal steps that we have to take to try to have a more honest election. We're not there yet, but there are things that can be done. Surprising take from Roger Stone. There are legal things that can be done to win the 2024 election, but maybe he should have reminded Donald Trump that after the last election, because after Trump and his team lost all of those court cases, they tried to steal the election in 10 different illegal ways. Allie then says, like what? Roger says, it's a long conversation. I'm working with a team. Allie says, I'm just frustrated. Roger Stone says, changes in state law, real-time voter list monitoring, going to court as we did just to challenge some of the vote laws. The election is not tomorrow. We went into the court to sue in Michigan over the handwritten ballots. We should be suing in half a dozen places. I mean, we're finally now on an offensive footing. Remember, the Republican National Committee raised $200 million, and they didn't spend any of it to try to get a cleaner election or to look at what happened last time. We now finally have control of that. Don't be discouraged, we're gonna win. Allie says, so they're gonna spend. The RNC is gonna spend more money now that Laura, and Roger Stone says far more. So obviously this undercover audio recording contains a lot of disturbing content, but what stuck out the most to me was this line from Roger Stone, where he details how they're gonna win the election, and he says, through changes in state law, real-time voter list monitoring, going to court as we did to challenge some of the vote laws. But what worries me is Roger Stone said earlier in that same clip that they are making sure they have judges and lawyers on their side. So what happens when they learn from 2020 and they bring a case to some sort of judge? This is a Trump-appointed judge who is now on Donald Trump and Roger Stone's side, and that Republican, MAGA, Trump-appointed judge decides to flip the results of that state or that county. They could decide to nullify votes. There are really no bounds to what they can decide to do in their state as long as they are on the side of Donald Trump. He also says changes in state law, which is also concerning because there have already been so many laws meant to disenfranchise minority voters or disabled voters or people who have trouble voting for whatever reason. And I can think of a few more laws that Republicans might want to pass to make it harder for those people to vote. And suppressed turnout helps Republicans generally. Historically, that is the rule. Higher turnout tends to help Democrats. So Republicans know if they can change some state laws and suppress turnout, if they can have judges on their side to agree with them when they bring these cases, they have a much better chance of contesting the results of a completely fair election, even if there's zero evidence of election fraud. It's terrifying. Thank you to Lauren Windsor and Ali Samarco for this Roger Stone tape. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, comment a blue heart. If you made it this far, hit the subscribe button, and have a great day.